Hi everyone, my name is Lizbeth Garcia. I'm going to be creating this training video on ABA. What is ABA? We are going to be cutting down this training into three parts. Today we're going to start off with part number one. I am a board certified behavior analyst. I do have a master's of science also in ABA. And aside from that, I also have a 10-year-old son with autism who did receive ABA services. So I love the fact that I get to do the professional side, but I also get to do the parent. And I got to experience both roles. I'm also an Integradora with ICC in the Antelope Valley region. So to start off, I want to start our part one session by discussing what is ABA. ABA is a type of therapy that focuses on improving specific behaviors such as social skills, communication, as well as adaptive learning skills. ABA is effective for children and adults with psychological disorders in a variety of settings. So this means that your child, if your participant or family member or child has behaviors of concern, they can qualify to receive ABA therapy. Doesn't have to be just children with autism. It applies to everyone. ABA is used across very different people, adults, different diagnoses. ABA is effective to target different areas and settings. What does this mean? This means that if the person is having a difficult time in the community, then ABA can be provided in that specific area. If your child or participant or family member is having difficulty at home or in the school, then that's when we want to focus our therapy at in those certain settings. So it could be done in a variety of settings. There's also clinics that provide ABA services to where the caregivers bring that participant into the clinic setting and they receive the services in the clinic. It has also been shown that consistent ABA can significantly improve behaviors and skills and decrease the need for special services. So, what does this mean? This means that if you have a participant who receives therapy or ABA early on, it is scientifically proven that it would improve their independent skills in the long run, right? In the future. They tend to close those developmental gaps, they tend to increase communication skills, and they learn to adapt to things in their environment in a more calmer way. So the faster that we start working on these behaviors of concern, the faster we're going to get to see a decrease and the more opportunity we're going to give our loved one to be more independent in the future. So how do you know if your child needs ABA? The first things that you want to look at is developmental delays or behaviors of concern. What are behaviors of concern? So what I'm talking about here is you notice that your son either already has a diagnosis or they're struggling in certain areas. The first thing you want to do is get an evaluation by your primary doctor. Always consult with your doctor. Write down all of the concerns that you have. Now, when I talk about behaviors of concern, this doesn't just mean my 4-year-old is having a tantrum or my 4-year-old is hitting me. It really means this my 4-year-old or my son or my child is having these behaviors that are really impeding his ability to learn from his environment. His tantrums are lasting 4 hours. During the tantrums, he's hitting himself or he's purposely hitting others and causing harm. Things that are a little bit of abnormal so could be like the duration of the tantrum, what's happening during the tantrum. Maybe they're engaging in self-injurious behaviors where they're hurting themselves. Those are behaviors of concern. If you are seeing those types of behaviors, then I would definitely consult with your doctor first and then request for a referral for an ABA assessment. When you get that referral for ABA assessment, then the person or the agency who gets that referral can evaluate your child and determine if they qualify for ABA services. Now, depending on your health insurance, you can also just call the ABA agencies directly and they can determine an ABA assessment and determine whether or not they qualify for these services. You can obtain a list from these providers from regional center or just by calling your health insurance company and asking them for a list of providers that do ABA. There is typically a wait list. So we really recommend families calling multiple agencies to see maybe one agency can take them in the fastest, or maybe they just conduct the assessment. And while they're conducting the assessment, maybe after you're approved, you can wait for an agency to start the services. But I always say, consult with your doctor, write down all your questions or things that are concerning of your child, and then make sure you request for that ABA assessment or evaluation. Now, once you get the ABA assessment or evaluation, someone's going to get assigned to your child, and they will be doing an evaluation. right? Just like any school district and doctor. Our job is to evaluate the needs of the participant of the family and the client and determine whether or not they need ABA services. Are they struggling in certain developmental skills? Are they engaging in behaviors of concern that are impeding their learning? And then we determine what type of service will be beneficial for them. Now, with an ABA, there's typically the main one is direct one-on-one services, meaning you have a team that works directly one-on-one with your child, right? These services could be done in the home, in the school setting, in the clinic, or any maybe community that they need support in. Now, another type of service that we have available for an ABA, depending on the agency, is parent consultation services. This means that the BCBA or the person overseeing your case only meets with the parents and they guide the parents on implementing strategies. Maybe this could be a dual service where you get direct services. They have a team working directly with your child and parent consultation where you get to also meet one-on-one with this BCBA and providers. It could be done together, it could be done separately. Let's say, for example, maybe your child has gotten to the point where he's had ABA for a very long time and now you're just worried about social skills, how he socializes, how he communicates, if he has friends or not. Then they have a social skills service. This social skills service includes ABA strategies, but they focus more on allowing the participants to, on their own, socialize and work on those social skills. So they may train on these skills and then allow them to practice them on their own without having one-on-one or someone with them. So it just depends what type of service your child needs. ABA requires commitment from the family, consistency, and time. ABA requires that the family is involved as much as possible, that sessions are not canceled as frequently. Obviously, we understand that sometimes people are going to get sick, they're going to be overwhelmed. We never want to stress anyone out, but consistency is key. Is key. It makes for great service and it makes for faster behavioral change. One of the things that I also like to discuss is that we need to be aware that behavior change takes time. So we don't want to expect something to stop happening right away. It has to be consistent and it does take some time before you're even going to see some improvement, right? A clinician will always recommend what is medically necessary, although our recommendation may not fit the family's availability. What this means is that once the evaluation is conducted, the person who's evaluating your child is going to give you a number of hours that they are approved for, right? Or that they're planning on recommending to get authorized. This number of hours is going to be based on their clinical findings, on what they think is medically necessary for this child. Unfortunately, the discrepancy happens sometimes where, for example, we believe that the child would benefit from 20 hours of therapy per week, but the family is only available 5 hours a week. Now, the effectiveness of the treatment is going to be severely impacted when my medical recommendation is 20, but the family is only available for 5. In this scenario, we would have to sit down and discuss with the family what are other options that we can do. Maybe doing comparing consultation service, maybe putting services on hold until the family is available. But it's always important to know that as clinicians, we have to do what is medically necessary for the participant, even if it doesn't feed the family's availability or the hours available. With this, I'm going to stop for part 1 and I'll see everyone in part 2.